In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I have an interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Samuel Barry Wiseman-Barker, who is hailing over from the folks over at INVRS, which is a collaborative investment research platform. It's a very interesting approach. If you head over to the website, it says the all-in-one investment research platform that you need, and it's free at the moment. So it's very interesting. So let's figure out what it's all about, but also how Buddy is thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, like Lucas mentioned there, my name is Buddy. I'm a founding employee and the marketing manager for the team at INVRS. So INVRS is like you mentioned, it's a collaborative investment research platform. So we're really trying to hone in on the momentum within retail investors wanting to get into the market over the last few years. And with that, over 60% of millennials and Gen Z are turning to social media for investment advice, research to discuss stocks. But the big problem we see with that is all of those platforms like Reddit or Twitter, they weren't really built for financial discussion. So INVRS kind of brings a lot of advanced data and tools that retail investors normally wouldn't have. But then we embed that right into a social and collaborative style platform to kind of enhance those conversations and turn them from the fear of missing out more into like actual investment research and kind of turn the tide of that momentum from more gambling style investing to actual investment research.
Yeah, no, that makes it's actually a super interesting approach. And tell me a little bit, what type of people are actually using it? Are they sort of, do you have to be at a certain, advanced level in your investment sort of, progress? Can you be a completely beginner and get advantage of the platform? Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually one of the things with marketing that I've kind of dealt with throughout the time is we're really trying to hone in on the creator economy as well. So trying to market to creators as well as the general user. But I'll start with the general user is probably a less sophisticated investor. They're not paying hundreds or thousands of dollars for a more advanced investment research platform, and they don't have a network of professionals they're talking with. So it's more the less sophisticated investor. But that doesn't mean they know nothing, right? And that's the one great value of the social and collaborative point is like people on the platform educate and help other people. So the less sophisticated investor might be more just kind of an observer and asking questions. And then we start to get into the more sophisticated investor where they're publishing their research for others to read, they're educating people, they're debating about different ideas. And then when you get to that more sophisticated investor, you start to lean into the people that are kind of looking at being a financial influencer or creator, and that's more of a business towards them. And then that's where like we're really still figuring out that line of people that are just willing to contribute. They're not trying to make a business out of it. But yeah, I would say it is a more versatile platform because you can connect with different levels of investors. And actually in the next, we're trying to do more on that. In the next few months, we're planning on building out a big educational section as well. And what we really want to do is INVRS to be the platform where we carry you through your investing journey, right to the point where you're learning what a stock really even is, all the way to the point where you're running your own portfolio to kind of evolve with people over time and be their go-to home source for investing.
Yeah, no, makes a whole lot of sense. I was actually about to ask that. It's a free platform. Maybe tell us a little bit about sort of the business model behind that, so people understand the dynamics.
Yeah, for sure. So there is a couple different opportunities for us. We are really just at this point really focused on building a strong community in the financial space. That's valuable in many different ways. But one of the things that will come probably more near future is like a premium, right now it's free, but more of a premium offering with like just more enhanced data and tools that aren't in the platform now. Everything that's there now will be free forever. But we're trying to to just enhance and give people more data and tools. And that's where we want to stay on the lines of following people through their investing journey. So if they want this piece of data, it's an add-on like subscription. Now, the other side of that is we feel equity research, investment research isn't really, we don't feel that there's a lot of research behind it, but the equity research isn't accessible to the average person. So that's what kind of results in people just posting on Reddit with random usernames, no credibility, right? So we're trying to be a home for like financial creators. You can call it analyst as a service, where like let's say I'm an analyst at a bank, but I'm tired of working for a soul crushing bank. I can go do research and publish it and sell it for like $5-10 a month. And enhancing on that is like other like enhancing on that is like portfolio integrations, access to the portfolio, like being able to see, because we actually just launched our portfolio integration tool like an hour ago, which is really exciting. So you can connect different brokerages to our platform, and that can drive that credibility. So it's not just random people trying to orchestrate pump and dumps. There's like more validity behind it. So essentially, though, we want to help creators be able to monetize themselves, but give other the users access to like affordable investment research. If you went to a bank for equity research right now, it's like you're not going to do it if it's impossible as a retail investor. It's in the tens of thousands of dollars. But now Robinhood and all these discount brokerages have given people access to the investing really easily. Like you can trade futures on your phone, and the knowledge, the like research and the data and tools haven't really followed. So that's where we're trying to kind of fill that gap. But just to answer your question, the simplest way is it would be like a creator model platform where the creators charge whatever they want and kind of monetize how they want, and we take a cut of that.
Gotcha. Super interesting. Now, how do people learn about Inverse at the moment? So what's the journey? What's the channels that they go through in order to get to know you better?
Yeah, so we've toyed around with a lot of different stuff over the last year. Probably our most successful, and it is kind of a very symbiotic relationship for us, is leveraging financial creators and influencers on other platforms. So we want them in our platform sharing. So that's where we can approach them and try and work out a deal where they're advertising us on other platforms, but they're also engaging with the people they're advertising to within our platform. So that's building like a really, really strong community that is now allowed to leverage us and leverage those creators even more. And with that, those creators and people doing research in our platform, as we keep continuing to build here, it's just a ton of content in the platform. So now what we've started to do is kind of take that content and advertise that as a way to come in, and just through different social channels. The one thing we found is, especially like in the finance sectors, like you really have to build a layer of trust with people. Like it's a lot harder to build that layer of trust. So giving that content up front, I know a lot of marketing's like that, but we really push like a lot of content, and often people will have to see our content like 3-4 times from a lot of people I've talked to really build that trust layer to trust the data and tools in our platform. So yeah, mainly like social media, generic content marketing. And then we do a lot of stuff with influencers and creators.
Gotcha. You also running equity crowdfunding at the very moment. Maybe tell us a little bit about that. What's sort of the story around and behind that?
Yeah, so this was something like when I just mentioned how when the creators bring people in from other platforms and then they're also in there engaging, it's built this really, really strong community. And that community, we were talking about different fundraising opportunities. We're like, okay, like, should we go the venture capital route? Should we try to go to like Canadian venture capital, or go Delaware Corp and try to go to US companies? And we actually came across a company called Equivesto, and they are kind of a leading platform in Canada here, kind of the pioneers of developing the regulation for equity crowdfunding. They are a licensed exempt market dealer. Basically, we saw this cool opportunity that our users of our platform are inherently investors, right? So they're definitely already more warmed up to the idea of investing in stuff. And another thing, it was more of a personal thing for people on the team. It was like, we feel a lot of different platforms and social media that people use, like, for example, like Twitter, people provide so much value to them, but they don't really get much out of it. So we thought it was a really cool opportunity to have people be like owners of the platform, and then use that community to help drive the direction of the platform. So a big, strong, like community-based approach there. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Super interesting. Now, maybe tell us a little bit about sort of the grassroots of this, right? When you're building out a platform like this, obviously you got to start winning over the first couple of influencers. Maybe tell us about that initial, set of 20 influencers that you guys won. Is there anything that you can share as lessons for people who are building up sort of an influencer sort of based community?
Yeah, so this is one where like it's a great question. This is one where like there was stumbles one after another. It can be very difficult working with influencers. It's hard to know who to trust. It's really hard to know like if their like stuff's gonna really convert. One thing I would say is to most people is don't focus on follower counts. Just because someone has a ton of followers, even like they might even drive a lot of engagement rates. I would really focus on the quality of people and how they align with your product the most. And especially like, I personally wouldn't I don't want creators that don't actually want to use the product. It doesn't go as well. And And then also on that token, sorry, I just blanked on the one other point I wanted to make. But yeah, so I would say don't focus on follower accounts, like really try and build like a real solid relationship with them. And then two, and this is something that worked for us, and this is kind of maybe more unique to our situation, was like really at first, because we were so young, like this is more so applicable to a startup, I would say we were so young, like them building trust in us was also like a hard thing for us to do, because our platform was still in development or like just barely pieces there, right? So we really take a step forward and like really wanted to like help the creators, make it as easy as possible for them. So like one example I did was I reached out to someone and they're like, well, like your platform's not that big yet. And that's a chicken and egg problem we had, is creators want a big user base and users want creators. But and basically I was like, okay, I get, because he said he was too busy. He's like, I don't want another platform to post on. I'm already here, 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 and here. And I was like, okay, how about for now, and we'll see how this goes, I literally copy and paste your content into our platform for you. So this isn't even a thought for you. And then as we grow, you can decide if this is something for you. So like really, and like this is more so applicable to like a creator platform, but really working with them and not just looking at them as like a marketing utility.
Yep, that makes a whole lot of sense. Very, very cool. Now, how do you today then think about the website? Like, what role do you think the website plays for you guys? How you as a marketer look at that?
For us, I'd say the website, it's incredibly important. Like I mentioned, it's in the financial services sector. The layers of trust you have to build are it's a lot. Like you have to build a lot of trust to get people, especially with now we're doing bank integrations, right? So that's a whole new ball game. It's like I'm going to connect my bank to this website. That's a whole new level of validity that you need to build with them. So I'd say like our website, like we drive most of our traffic to our landing page, not actually a sign up prompt. So we drive them right to our landing page, and our most sticky users are the ones that like took the time, like you can see the amount of like clicks they've been on the website, and really read it. So like our like obviously with anyone lower like or more time session on the landing page has a higher conversion rate. But for us, it's not just the conversion rate. It's actually like if this person like is sticky in the long term, and you know.
That makes sense. I mean, you mentioned conversion rate there. Is there anything that you've learned as a marketer over the years when it comes to when it comes to increasing conversions on those websites? Is there anything that you've picked up, any approaches, methods, tools over the years?
Improving. Yeah, it's a simple one. It's nothing like crazy particular, but obviously just making sure you're finding a way to collect contact point, so you can kind of re-go at those people. So like people are like half interested and they come on the website. One thing I found really effective that we had for a while on a different landing page, not our main one now, was just those ones where like if you go like a pop-up, if they're trying to leave the website and say, hey, we know you don't want to do this right now, but we have a newsletter, and that's where like we try and feed everything through our content wheel. It's like we have a newsletter, and then we tried that strategy and we almost doubled our conversion rates with those people on the second, third points of contact.
Yep, that makes sense. Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about sort of, your journey as a marketer. I got some rapid fire questions to, as we slowly approaching the end of the interview, to wrap it up for today. Are you ready for those?
Yep.
Cool. What's the last book you read? Or the last podcast you listened to, for that matter?
Last podcast. It was actually much more of a finance focused one. Bloomberg Odd Lots. It's a very popular one. Yeah, I was just listening to a podcast with a macroeconomist, because as you know, the world right now is very volatile. So I've been trying to gauge a sense of that.
What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
I would say we're very honed in on the portfolio integration. We think it can add a lot to the platform in terms of just more in depth on the individual basis, more in depth analytics, stuff that people aren't quite used to seeing, like overall portfolio beta, or like for example, a Sharpe ratio. Quick explanation of that. It's basically how much risk did you take versus returns. You might have a really high return, but you took so much risk. So like if you consistently do that, it might not go well. So just more in-depth looks. And then from the other like more public perspective of credibility. So it's like you can see I've outperformed the S&P 500. You can see I'm actually owning and buying or selling the stocks that I'm talking about. So I think that's going to add a huge layer to the credibility in the whole digital social media finance space.
And the very last question would be, right, if we do a little bit of time travel, right? If we go back to, you know, your very first day working on INVRS, what's the one advice that you would give yourself?
What is the one? One advice I would give, that is a loaded question. But I guess I'll try tie it into marketing and make it more applicable. Don't like when you're looking for marketing tools, don't stop at the first two or three. There's a lot out there, and I've had a couple bad experiences, and they've cost me weeks of work and a lot of money. So really like understanding the scope of tools that you can use, because in my opinion, in my experiences, like they can make or break kind of a lot of the processes and can really hurt or help you in that sense. So really researching all the different tools you're using. So yeah.
Any marketing tools you're super happy with? Maybe people can pick it up. You've done already some research.
I know it's another common one, HubSpot. I love HubSpot. It's helped me so much, and that was I can't remember what the other one we were using, and I can't remember what it was called, but we had so many problems, and I had to transfer everything to HubSpot, and it was very time consuming and frustrating. But HubSpot's been excellent for me.
Very cool. Cool, buddy. I really appreciate you took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathmark Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all about INVRS that we discussed today, what's the one thing that they should remember?
The one thing to remember is that at INVRS, our mission is to improve the financial outcomes for the average investor and improve people's financial experiences in the stock market.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.